Hello everyone, I am Renowned Zero. Today we're going to be talking about Frost speaking out about her experiences at G4 after everything happened, after it got shuttered, after she got laid off essentially, got everyone else laid off at G4, and the network shut down in less than a year of its revival at Comcast. Today we're going to be jumping this article from Bally in Comics. Former ex-Play host Frost says infamous sexism in gaming rant, partly inspired by her experiences at G4. Quote, I cannot believe more stuff hasn't come out. In the aftermath of Comcast shuttering of their short-lived attempt to revive G4, while her former co-host has taken to throwing bizarre and childish tantrums on social media, they're referring to Adam Sessler, of course, Indiana Frost Black has chosen to offer insight into the event that heralded its eventual downfall, her now infamous sexism in gaming rant. Yes, because, the fans do not like to be talked down to, which is essentially what you did. The recently retired video game personality opened up about the circumstances which prompted her impassioned explosion in an exclusive interview held with independent journalist Peter Pischke for his newly launched interview podcast, Culturescape. He has a working relationship with Bally in Comics and considered a friend by this article's author. Following a discussion of G4's strategic failings, Pischke turned their conversation to the topic of her rant, directly asking her guests, quote, what was happening to Frosk that you were in that position where you felt like that and just needed to be said? In turn, Frosk revealed that the first embers of her rant were sparked by her experiences, quote, trying to pay attention to everything that was happening online around G4 during a period of, quote, fairly early on into its announcement. Quote, over the months leading up to it, everywhere I looked, if I was on YouTube or Reddit or Twitch or every platform, people were just talking about how much they used to do this to Morgan Webb. So, who cares? She explained, I was like, this is so strange that on social media people are just making all these crude, not even just jokes, but just really crude statements. It's not really a crude statement, in my opinion. People will do what they do when they look at women. It's their choice. Your body, their choice, right? What is happening where we've missed a barrier into the decision making to think something, type it out to hit enter and send. Shifting our attentions to the X-Play segment in which her anger eventually boiled over, Frost detailed how it was supposed to be like a New Year's gripes thing. So it'd be like, this thing really annoyed me, in the new year let's start fresh and do a New Year's rant. Which it's not. It's G4. It's not New Year's party or something. She told Pischke, originally I was supposed to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2's online. I was going to blast Rockstar, and this was even before they decided to just leave the games online to die. Because no one was playing it, everyone was playing GTA. However, after doing some rehearsals where the on-screen team want to keep our rants secretive so we don't record them or do them, everyone went to take a lunch break where at Frost's rant truly began to take form. And I go to lunch, and I'm sitting with network producer Emily Rose, director Gabriel Thomas, and co-executive producer Megan Lutz, and I don't remember why it was brought up, but the discussion at the table really just kind of turned into our different experiences as women in the industry, and also in that specific studio having really ist and gross experiences. She recalled, I was like, why is that so prevalent in this industry? I mean, it's probably prevalent in a lot of industries, but go on, queen. Like, it's so bizarre. Frost opined on the matter. I've worked in 4 different riot offices. By the way, I don't think anyone was doing things to you, Frost. You're kind of ugly, I'm just saying. And Riot obviously went through the massive lawsuit about gender discrimination, but just like the ish that I've seen working 10 years in esports, I thought that going into mainstream broadcasting would make it better. And yet you have things like this popping up on, X-Play and G4, afterwards, after that rant went on by Frosk. You brought someone who essentially brings all the boys to the yard, if you know what I'm saying. But while she thought esports was like this Wild West where you don't have a lot of people with white-collar business experience and that it was going to get better going into G4, these issues reportedly only got so much worse going into G4. Specifically in that series she had, I cannot believe more stuff hasn't come out. Again, you tried to bring in someone like Amaranth, who's obviously a good-looking woman, obviously has a lot of paying simpletons, we'll say, to get them to come back, get fans to come back, gamers that are mainly male after you decided to alienate and isolate them all from the network? Frost next explained how after that lunch she returned to the studio and decided to change the topic of her rant, shifting it from Rockstar's multiplayer failings to her aggrieved frustrations with her and her coworkers' personally experiences. Again, pretty sure you didn't have any experiences like that, because I don't think anyone would ever hit on your ugly ass. Retracing the chain of events, she stated, so I hash out the rant, I give it to X-Play showrunner Michael Leffner and Megan, and they approve it, and they're like, yeah, this is great, we're going to put it in the teleprompter, and then I read it, and that's what went out. Yeah, because only dumbasses thought your rant was great. Clearly, it didn't turn out that way. It was approved by all the higher-ups, Frost bluntly affirmed. In a quick aside, the former X-Play host noted, hilariously, X-Play host Gerard, the completionist Khalil, was actually going to do a very similar rant. His was going to be about the general hatred or negativity. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but kind of like the negativity around the gaming sphere and the audience outputting that. Again, I've said this before in previous videos. Women are entering a mostly male space. Men talk shit about each other all the time, and we don't care. That is part of our competitiveness. That is part of the competitiveness of our nature. We are competitive creatures. We talk shit, we laugh it up, and we move on. Women want to come into the space, you're going to be treated the same exact way. We're going to talk shit because you're on the internet. We believe you can handle it. Clearly, you cannot. If you cannot handle the internet, if you cannot handle online gaming, don't be a part of it. It's been a part of it, of the male-dominated space, for a very long time, and it's been perfectly fine. But as soon as women want to partake in it, it's suddenly a problem. Wasn't a problem before when females did not want to partake in it. Now, I don't want to discourage females from partaking in it, but you gotta grow some thicker skin. Holy shit. Mine was negativity through the lens of ism and gaming. She distinguished between their two talks. This is something I just explained. And then when Gerard heard mine, he was like, well, you basically talked about a very similar vein of what I was going to talk about, so he doesn't do this. Well, it's because you're a pussy and you're a beta male. Stop it. Returning to the rant itself, Frost turned to address the decision by G4's social media team to clip it and it separately. I guess that's what it says. They didn't ask me or anything. They just went, she asserted, revealing that she initially thought little of her ranting because 2,000 people watched that stream, and I was like, it's whatever. That was basically for this audience. Yeah, it's basically probably for the 99% of males that were watching it, because they have memories of what G4 was, and they were like, oh, G4 is coming back, let's watch it. And it wasn't what they expected. It was something that essentially skewed their expectations, if you will. Subverted is the word I was looking for. Subverted their expectations. However, while in true corporate fashion, G4 decided to ride the high of internally. Everyone's like, good job, we really stand behind you. Get him, Frost. Get him, Frost. Yeah, Frost revealed to an intently listening Pishk that even in more true corporate fashion, as soon as the backlash comes and it gets caught up in the YouTube algorithm, all the harassment comes and G4 just hard bailed. They were like, we're really supporting you, but way over here. She recalled, I asked them multiple times, what are your guidelines? How do you want to handle any of this? There's no guidelines in terms of social media. I asked them repeatedly for assistance or what they wanted me to say. In the standards of the public relations world, if that happens, what you do is you actually flood the market with more interviews, said Frosk. So if Comcast wanted to do that correctly, if they have the algorithm machine focusing on negativity, what you do is actually schedule a ton of interviews and you just 50-50 it. But they just decided to, completely back away, she sighed. Well, people thrive on negativity and drama. Drama is watched a lot more than positive content. It gets a lot more views. According to Frost, not only did G4 completely hang her out to dry, but they did so in the face of real-world harassment for some of G4's more unhinged critics. It wasn't harassment. It was criticism of your bullshit. You don't like it? Tough shit. Get off the internet. It got really bad when, if it was multiple people. I'm assuming it was probably one person that was using multiple sock puppet accounts. It probably wasn't. But there was a stalker scenario. She said of the problems with which she was left to deal with on her own. I called my local PD to make sure I didn't get swatted and to address The address attached to my LLC, this is how they tried to get it, was actually my agent's address and his phone number. So my agent was getting all those threatening phone calls and having drive-bys of his house. Because you couldn't handle the heat. You decided to put the heat on somebody else, which in my opinion is very dangerous. I had to completely change my LLC to some random P.O. box. I had this individual who was, I'm assuming, reverse image searching the pictures I put on my social media, kept messaging me trying to get my location. She continued weird shit like that. I decided to delete my entire Twitter to make sure that there weren't images that could be used. I just cleared the entire thing out. Frost stated, I felt like anything that I did, then the YouTubers reporting on it, I was like, dudes, I don't even know how to explain to you the levels of deep weirdness this is. So the people that are reporting it are people that report on typical pop culture, and you scrubbing everything is very suspicious and very red flaggish. You're trying to clean up your Twitter account and scrub all the BS that you were spewing on there is essentially what you were doing. So that sucked, and it was definitely like a low point, but outside of that, it was business as usual, was included. I stopped really using a lot of social media, didn't go on YouTube at all. I couldn't go on YouTube anywhere, so I tried to focus on work. Taking advantage of the opportunity to vent against her former employer, Frost then surprised Pishk with a brief story of how a producer on the network's attack of the show set out the office in front of other people. The reason that X-Play is failing is because they don't have any hot people like Morgan Webb on their show, which is most likely true. People seeing hot guys, mind you, seeing hot women talk about video games kind of boosted the numbers of the old G4. I used to watch it because of hot women talking about video games. It wasn't a normal thing. It's a pretty unusual thing for a woman at that time to have any kind of knowledge on video games. It was mainly a male-dominated space. It still is a mainly male-dominated space. So when you see a woman who talks about video games, it's interesting to see. And it's appealing to what they like to call the male gaze. Like, biology exists, bro. That's what we do. We like to look at hot women. We like to look at beautiful people. He literally said that, she affirmed. Ultimately, Frost admitted, if they had asked me, I would have said, do not clip that. Did I care? She reflected, it's hard. Did I mean everything that I said? Yeah. It's because you're a dumbass and you don't know shit. You don't know anything about gaming culture. But that's in a context of like, I know only 2,000 people are watching and I can look directly at the Twitch chat. It was in the context of the rest of the show. Quote, you have a minute and a half to get this segment on in a 2,000 viewer stream. Frost ultimately shrugged her shoulders on the topic. Different content would have been repurposed for different things. So once again, not taking the responsibility and the blame for her BS. Blaming everybody else. Blaming G4, blaming the co-host, blaming the producers, blaming everybody else, instead of just taking responsibility and saying, you fucked up. You thought you were appealing to an audience that was going to like your stuff. They didn't like your stuff because you were talking a bunch of bullshit about males and about gaming culture, that it's always been male-dominated space. If you can't handle the male-dominated space, you can get the fuck out. The door's right there. You don't have to stay doing online gaming. Or, if you want to online game, there are these things called muting and blocking. They've been around forever. Muting and blocking exists. So you don't have to hear anybody. You don't have to see anything. All you do is play the game. It's not that hard. It's been around forever. But, of course, none of that actually matters to you. All you wanted was some BS clout. You got the clout you wanted. You got what you deserved. You lost your job because you decided you wanted to go against the audience who were going to watch G4, who had fond memories of G4, and you essentially, in my opinion, single-handedly took down G4 because you wanted to give your points, your speculation, your nonsense about the so-called sexism in gaming. Thank you all for checking out this video. I really do appreciate it. All the new subscribers, all the returning subscribers, returning viewers, new viewers, appreciate every single one of you. I wouldn't be doing this without you. If you did like the video, hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications, and set it to all. That way you get notifications every time I post a new video. Comment below your feelings about all this. Subscribe for more content like this. And as always, I will see you all on the next one. Peace.